remember how it feels when your efforts, your contributions were not recognized? Feels bad, right? On the other hand, when your efforts, everything that you've done, if they're recognized or rewarded, it feels so good. Now that is called affirmation. According to one author, there are 5 love languages. Those are touch, time, affirmation, gifts, and services. So, according to the author, we express and receive love in these 5 categories. Either we express and receive it through touch or time, by giving time, or by affirming, or by giving gifts, or by giving services. I mentioned that because it's very much related to our reflection of the first part of Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. Welcome to week 26 of our daily Bible devotions. And as I mentioned, I want us to reflect on the first 3 chapters of 1 Thessalonians. And if we will look at it, chapter 1 actually notes, you will see it in the first part if you read it, that the whole chapter 1 is actually focused on Paul's commendation and affirmation of the believers in Thessalonica. In chapter 2, he reminded the Thessalonians of how he loved them when he was with them, because he wrote this letter when he's already apart from them. And then in chapter 3, he mentioned how when he sent someone named Timothy, this Timothy came back to Paul with good news, with good reports about the believers in Thessalonica. So he's really commending the Thessalonians. First 3 chapters, if you will just read it, it's just filled with flattery, commendation, affirmation. It's like Paul is patronizing, really, the believers in Thessalonica. And that's his way of expressing love. That leads us to the principle that I want us to meditate on today. It's this: when we choose to trust God, especially in times of suffering or trials, He recognizes and rewards our faith. Again, when we choose to trust God in times of suffering or trials, He recognizes and rewards our faith. Because that's the kind of love that Paul received from God, the kind of love that affirms and commends whenever he remains in faith during the times of trials and sufferings. That's the same kind of love that he gave to the Thessalonians. And if you think about it, all living beings respond to stimuli. That's part of the characteristics of all living beings. We respond to stimuli. So even animals, even plants, when there are stimulus, they respond to it. But animals and plants, they only respond to material stimuli, to physical. For example, if you reward a dog, then a dog will become loyal to you, or a dog will keep on doing the same trick. So it has to be something material or physical, or something that they can feel or experience. Now, it's different with humans. With humans, we desire for rewards even though it's not material or physical. For example, animals, they love those who love them. I mean, it's instinctive for all living beings to express affection and love for those who love them. But only humans, only us, can express love for those who doesn't love us. Loving your enemies, loving those who are not good to you, other creatures are not capable of that. Only humans are capable of that. Why? It points to our being special, because we are created special. And in the Bible, it says that while we are sinners, while we are enemies of God, God has already loved us. But when we turn our faith to God, even though circumstances are negative, even though circumstances are really going against us, we can choose to remain in faith, and we can choose to remain loving, and then God will actually reward that kind of faith. And that kind of faith is being anchored on something that is not material. We're anchoring it on something that is immaterial, that is spiritual, that cannot be touched, it's not tangible, but we know it's real. That's faith. And when we respond positively, when we respond in faith to the negative situations, because we have that kind of faith, our faith will be rewarded. Our faith will be affirmed, our faith will be commended, and probably the greatest commendation that we can receive after being faithful. And that's what I'm hoping for in my life. That one day, when I remain faithful, after all this, I will meet my Master. I will meet the Lord, and He will tell me, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." I pray you will also long for that.